Hello and welcome to today's video. Today we are here and it's another episode of the Racing Debrief. Today it's NASCAR exclusively as F1's off for the week. So we got some gateway discussions and we have Portland. So I'm not going to talk about the truck race. As I've said it many times, you kind of skip over that. Which I mean for this week is a real good reason because I didn't actually get to watch it. As you know, if you've watched the Racing Debrief, I typically work on Saturday. Most of the times I work Saturday. So, a race gets recorded, I watch part of it on my lunch break or whatever. With the race being rain delay, recording got messed up, and unfortunately I was able to watch it, so I was like, alright, check the recording schedule. Again, normally YouTube TV does a good job with recording sports like that, but something must have happened with that specifically. So I was like, alright, it's going to be rebroadcast on FS2, 10 p.m. So, I go in the recording and I watch part of it, and then it just cuts to baseball. So I was kind of disappointed by that, because then they're reshowing baseball over the thing they already said they were reshowing. So, they reshowed it later at night, but whatever, I didn't end up watching it. So, just see online that Corey Heim won. So we go to the Xfinity race, which I was glad that one was not the one that was messed up, because that's the one I really wanted to see. Portland's a fun road course to watch. It's an interesting track for sure. Definitely one that it'd be cool to see Cup cars race at some point. But yeah, it's just a good road course. It's kind of a shorter road course, but overall fun track. So started off, you had Sam Mayer get spun literally the first lap by Shane Van Gisbergen. And from there, it was a lot of Justin Allgaier, right? He led most of it. Shane Van Gisbergen was able to get back to the lead, or get to the lead, but had some weird strategy as the only driver to pit at the end of stage 1, so let Allgaier win the stage. Stage 2, pretty chill stage in general. Once again with Allgaier winning it. Towards the end of the race, again, looked like he was going to win. Pretty calm race, I would say, overall for a road course until the last few laps. Chandler Smith has an issue with his engine, and he goes on a little extra route, whatever. That might have run out of caution, probably would have. But then you had a big wreck. Brennan Jones' car got jammed under the tires, so had that, and you had the final restart. And Shane Van Gisbergen was able to get by Allgaier on the start. Brilliant race between the two. First 2 laps of it definitely looked like it was Shane Van Gisbergen's going to pull away. Justin Allgaier starts to come back towards the end. Sam Mayer hits the tires slightly, cuts his tire, so he has to go around the whole track with a flat. And then from there, Shane Van Gisbergen goes on and gets the win, and his first Xfinity Series win. So that was super exciting to see. Definitely was happy about that one. The race win diecast, that's probably one that I would order and be interested in adding into one of these shelves in 8 months from now when it gets finally made. But yeah, definitely looking forward to that. I mean, again, speaking of diecast, we do have one open spot there, right? You see that spot right there that I'm pointing out, that one open spot. We're gonna fill that soon. We're gonna have some diecast reviews coming up. I have 3 new cars coming, 2 that I bought from eBay and 1 that's just coming out now. So definitely excited about that. So we'll have some reviews and we'll fill that spot, and we'll also take another car out of that shelf. So looking forward to that. But either way, that was the Xfinity race. The Cup race, a Gateway. Gateway is one of those tracks that it's an interesting one. I feel like it's been obviously very well received. It hasn't had the most excitement, I would say, throughout its races. Right, obviously the first year you had Denny Hamlin and Chase Elliott, both against Ross Chastain. But overall, the racing hasn't had the most excitement passing-wise. It's been very much get what you can get on the race start and then chill and wait for the next stage or caution to come out. So you had a few early cautions, your Cody Ware wrecks, which I didn't realize Cody Ware was even racing. But he managed to spin out twice in the first 15 laps of the race, I believe it was. So you had that. After, it went into a long run of just go to the stage. And honestly, the first stage was pretty chill. Second stage, towards the end, you had Kyle Busch and Kyle Larson with their incident, their crash. And in that, definitely looked like Kyle Busch came down the track more on Kyle Larson. One of those incidents that happens sometimes. I think both drivers are going for the spot. I think Kyle Busch got a little more mad about it. I think he's been a little bit annoyed in the last few weeks, and honestly, I think he's getting a little stressed out without having that win. I think that's a concern for him. Obviously, trying to go for 20-year win streak, which nobody's ever done in NASCAR ever. Winning 20 years in the Cup Series consecutively. So, yeah, I think he's a little stressed out about that. You go to the end of the race, and it looks like, Penske car's kind of in the lead. Cycle of pit stops, and again, Christopher Bell's dominated most of this race. He won the first stage, won the second stage. He's looking like he's in a good spot to win it. You get about 30 to go. Everybody cycled through their pit stops. Comes out, it's Ryan Blaney in the lead. Christopher Bell second. Also Cindric third. Those are going to be the three key players throughout the rest of this race. So, Christopher Bell's catching up to Blaney. He actually passes him. There's about 20 laps to go. He was able to get by. Blaney makes the crossover move to the bottom, gets back by him, and they're continuing to battle. It was fantastic. One of the best races for the lead all year. Which, again, Gateway was not the track I'd expect to see that at, but brilliant racing there. And Christopher Bell had something with his engine. He messed it up. Maybe downshifting too much, too quickly. There was a lot of shifting going on, getting to those corners, and he could have definitely messed up something with his car if he shifted down too early. In the sequential gear, they just... So, it's a little bit more likely to have that happen. So, he started falling back, and look, all right, Blaney's got this one. Christopher Bell falling back, which is kind of cool to see Martin Truex kind of give him a push, because Martin Truex fell way back. He had a flat tire earlier in the race. The other caution that kind of shook things up was Josh Berry with a flat tire. So, that's kind of what put these certain drivers in play. The Penske car specifically. But, again, Chris Bell's falling back. Martin Truex, with that flat tire, went back 3 laps, so he's out of the race, but his car's still fine. So down some of those straights, he's pushing Christopher Bell, because the corners is whatever, everybody's going slower, but not having that speed down the straights. So Christopher Bell's kind of getting that help, but he ends up getting, I think, about a top 10 maybe. But, 2 laps to go. Ryan Blaney's got the lead. Looks like it's over. He's going to cross the line to get the white flag, and he runs out of gas. Now, he was slowing down a little bit in one of the corners, and Suarez got by him, but it didn't really seem like anything. I was like, okay, he's just being super cautious. 2 laps, nothing to worry about. You see Cindric fly by him. What? Austin Cindric has a lead. White flag, wins the race. Austin Cindric gets his second career win. That was unexpected, but yeah, I mean, cool to see Austin Cindric get a win. Have him in the playoffs will be interesting, but not the Penske driver that I would have thought would have got a win this year. Obviously, first points win for Penske. Joe Logano won North Wilkesboro in the All-Star race, but the first points race win for Penske this year, I would not have thought would have been Austin Cindric, and I don't think many people would have thought Austin Cindric was the guy that would have got the first Penske Cup Series points win of the year. But he did get the win. He's in the playoffs, so another driver locked in. So, yeah, interesting there. Again, there's quite a few drivers locked in, which brings us to the discussion. Kyle Larson getting a waiver. So Kyle Larson last week missed the Coke 600 to race the Indy 500. Of course, the initial plan of his week was not to miss the Coke 600. His plan was to do the double and race in Indy, and then fly to Charlotte and race the Coke 600. The Indy 500 got pushed back. Kyle Larson was in Indianapolis and started the race. By the time it was over, the Coke 600 was already going, about halfway through, and when the rain came, he flew in, and the race was over. Because that's another discussion. that we didn't get to have last week because I made it right after the race got canceled or ended, was that a lot of discussion was that Fox was the one that really pushed for the race to be over more than NASCAR because the track was dry. So if Fox made that move and was able to have that power over NASCAR, bit unfortunate there. Specifically on Kyle Larson, he's yet to get a waiver. All the information that has came out for the post-race for Gateway is saying he has 0 playoff points. Kyle Larson at the moment is not in the 2024 playoffs because he missed the race. And I think that is absolutely ridiculous. And I think, honestly, people out here saying, there are some people saying Kyle Larson should not be allowed to make the playoffs, I think is absolutely ridiculous. Kyle Larson is one of the best drivers in the field. And Kyle Larson, what he did in Indianapolis and that weekend, the eyes that it brought to NASCAR, to IndyCar, to motorsports in America in general, is enough to deserve a waiver. Kyle Larson didn't intentionally say, I'm going to miss the Coke 600. He was already in Indy, and that's a dream to do the Indy 500 for any driver. So, I think having him potentially miss the playoffs and not be given a waiver now a week in is absolutely insane. Drivers are given waivers for non-racing injuries, right? Kyle Busch getting a waiver, one of the first ones, 2015, made sense. You know, should the legitimacy of winning a championship after missing that many races is another discussion. But under this format, Kyle Busch getting a waiver in 2015 makes sense. And any other driver who got injured in a racing scenario, Dale Jr. with concussions, in the years that he got, I don't remember if he got one in 2016 because he was out for the season anyways. But either way, in that scenario, in the car, right? Eric Jones got one a few weeks ago because he got injured in the car. So, those situations warrant you getting a waiver. Now, should you get a waiver for a suspension? That's something different. I don't know if you deserve a waiver for intentionally crashing somebody, but if you're the most popular driver, maybe you do get that. And you do get that. Also, if we're going to say Kyle Larson intentionally missed the Coke 600, I find that A, absolutely ridiculous, because again, I already knew the scenario of the weekend. And secondly, drivers have been given waivers for getting injured off track, doing other racing. Alex Bowman broke his back last year. Chase Elliott broke his foot, or his leg, or whatever he broke last year, broke his leg. Tony Stewart got injuries in, I believe it was 2016, off track. Those drivers were given waivers. Kyle Larson missing a race while growing motorsports in America, which again was not an intentional miss. It was one of those things that he was racing in Indianapolis and the Coke 600, and rain delayed, pushed it back. Now people are going to make the argument that he should have flew to Charlotte and started the 600 and said no to the 500. But he was already in Indianapolis. He started the first half of it. They already had a contingency plan of him getting in the car for the second half. Kyle Larson missed the start of the race due to rain. Should the best driver in the NASCAR Cup Series really miss the playoffs because of rain? Should the best driver in motorsports in America not be allowed to race in the championship and in the series that he's part of because of rain? If you sit here and legitimately think that, I don't know what to say. Kyle Larson should be given a waiver. Kyle Larson is the best driver in America, the best driver in NASCAR, and he deserves the ability to run for a championship, even if he missed one race while growing motorsports in America. That's my view on it. That's my thought. So hopefully we'll get some news in the next few days. But we're already a week in. And I'm not sure when we're going to find out. But that's that. Thank you all for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you guys in the next one.